Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the channel. This is podcast episode 2. I got my main man, Curious George, in the back. Curious, say hello to the people. All right, today we're going to get curious about the stories we tell ourselves, the stories we tell others, to be exact, the 4 stories, all right? So let's just jump right in. The first story is the story we tell ourselves. Constantly, we are telling ourselves a story about who we are, who we want to be, who we are in the past. And the reality is that these stories that we tell ourselves, they dictate who we are, they dictate the decisions we make, and overall, they're going to dictate our destiny. Habits create a destiny. You know, your thoughts create actions. Those actions over time build up habits. Habits over time turn into character, and that character is what's going to reproduce your destiny. That character has a huge deal with what we tell ourselves, the story that we tell ourselves. So I'll give you a couple examples. Somebody earlier today was like, I constantly procrastinate because I feel better when the pressure's high and I do things the last minute because that's when I can do them the most effectively. Well, that's great. How about we change the story and we were, hey, now the pressure's on. I want to do things first. My new pressure points are I want to be the first one to submit the essay. I want to be the first one to apply for the job when it becomes live and the post is available. And I have a pressure if I don't apply really, really early. Then that pressure is going to set you up for success long term. Now you're at the top of the pile. Now you can relax for the rest of the semester because you turned in the paper that you found out the first week of the semester during the second week of the semester. And now, rather than being crunchy on spring break and wondering if you should go to Daytona Beach or stay home and write this paper, you can go to Daytona Beach and have a great life. It's a no-brainer. You know, it's all about the stories we tell ourselves. Other people, and I'm going to get deep because this first story is a major one. The first story being the story that we tell ourselves. It's major because this is the one that says, oh, I'm overweight and that's just who I am. Oh, I'm big boned. That's just who I am. You're going to be stuck in that for a long time if you keep telling yourself that. And another thing, let's be honest with ourselves too. That's a major thing. You're not big boned, you're fat. Let's be real. All right. So again, the stories that we tell ourselves have a major impact in who we are. If we accept these things and we constantly repeat them to ourselves, even subconsciously, a lot of times these stories that we tell ourselves, we don't even know. We're not even aware of the fact that we're telling ourselves these stories. So keep in mind that these are very important things. It's our inward conversation, you know. I find it fascinating how people, I live in South Florida and there's a lot of different ethnicities here, a lot of different people, they speak a lot of different languages. I find it fascinating and I'm constantly asking people this. What language are your thoughts in when you have that internal dialogue? Because if you really find out, you'll find out that people have internal dialogues with themselves in a completely foreign language than what is mostly spoken in America, because that's their native tongue. Just as we have a different language that we speak to ourselves, we have constantly a certain amount of things that we're telling ourselves. This is my story. I'm never the guy who gets the hottest girls. I have to settle for the mediocre looking girls. Or I'm never the guy who is the boss. I'm the employee who works really, really hard. Well, that's good, but guess what? Working really, really hard isn't going to make you $1 million a year. If that was the case, then every Tom, Dick, and Harry, every janitor, garbage man, mailman would be a millionaire. And the reality is that a lot of these people are living paycheck to paycheck. Once you start to accept these things that, hey, maybe the world's not fair. Maybe there's something more than just working hard. It's a balance of working smart and working hard. And you have people on the other side of the coin saying, oh, I work smart so I don't have to work hard. Well, how about working smart and working hard? Then you'll really be successful, all right? I've never met somebody who's a multimillionaire and just says, I only work smart. Well, sure, they definitely work smart, let me tell you, but they also work hard, all right? You can ask any one of them. So that's the first story we tell ourselves, and we can change the story that we tell ourselves by rewiring those habits, rewiring those neurons to tell ourselves different thoughts. It takes about 21 days to develop a new habit. If we start telling ourselves a different paradigm, a different story, something like along the lines of, hey, I'm majorly successful, even when you're not, or hey, I'm super fit and athletic when you're just working out. That run is going to be very highly motivated if you're telling yourself you're more athletic. Your desire to invest and work an extra hour of overtime is going to be highly motivated if you're telling yourself you're very wealthy and that you have plenty of money. Because the reality is you will start to try to bridge the gap from where you are to where you want to be, where you're telling yourself. It's all about those affirmations. And I know you've heard it a million times, but I just wanted to take it one step further and reveal to you the story that you're telling yourself. So what is that story? All right. The second story is the story we tell others. Now, this could be a really good indication of what the story we want to be telling ourselves should look like, because we're constantly telling others about our successes and very rarely about our failures. And let me be honest with you guys. If you are telling people constantly about your failures and about your struggles, you know what's going to happen? You're going to slowly find out that on the weekends, those people are busy. They're not really available to hang out. They're going to be doing something else. You know why? Because you're kind of bumming them out. You're depressing. I'm sorry. Don't tell people about your failures, because 99% of the time, one of two things is going to happen. Either they're going to be glad it's you and not them, or they're going to be like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, and then move right on with their lives instantly because they don't want to be boggled down. All right? Again, the story we tell ourselves. Number 3. The third story is the story that others tell about us. And I'm blowing through my time here, so I might go back to story number 2 in a little bit, just to fill up some space. But the story that others tell about us, this is really important to keep track of, because this is our reputation, and our reputation is worth more than silver and gold. All right, our reputation is astronomically important. It's the thing that can help you get a job. It's the thing that can help you get a relationship. It's one of the most important things. And I can tell you from experience, the things that other people are telling other people about you is super important. And it goes to the smallest detail. That's why you have to be above reproach. That's why you have to always dot your I's and cross your T's and be careful what you do. Find people you can trust. Tell those people the things that you need to blab about, the foot and mouth disease that you have to satiate. Do it with those people that got your back, because if you start telling random people random things, that news is going to travel. That news is going to travel fast. If you slip into her DM, guess what? All her friends know. All her friends know that you're in her DMs. You can't be slipping into her friends' DMs as well, because now you're going to have a reputation. You already had a reputation with her, be it good or bad, depending on what you said in the DM. But now you slipped into one of her friends' DM as well. Are you crazy? It's not going to fly. It's not going to work well for you. It's just going to be a situation where you're building up your reputation. It goes to the smallest thing. A like in the photo. Men, trust me, they're telling their friends, this guy liked my photo from way back when. Be careful on that. Again, reputation. It's what others tell about you. This is the third story. Going back, like I said, I was going to fill up some more space. The story that we tell others. This could be a good indication of where we want to be a lot of the time. We only tell others, look at social media. Look at social media constantly. Got a new job, going on this vacation, eating at this restaurant. Meanwhile, your bank account's negative. You have more credit card debt than anybody else. You know the people that I admire? My friends who are like, hey, I just got out of student loan debt in 2 years because I did nothing. I was a single guy and I just worked with no relationship and dating costs and really lived at home with my parents for that whole time. So I got out of debt, boom, instantly. That's where you need to be. You don't need to be in restaurant world. That's not you. That could be you once you start investing and learn how to play the market world. Once you play that game for a couple of years and you have enough where your passive income starts to overlap your actual work income, that's when you can start going to restaurant, because guess what? You're not losing anything. You're not going to be losing hours. You got to keep in mind, time is money, and we're all trading time for money in the game of work, unless you're a owner. That's right. If you're not an owner, you're trading your time for money. And it's quite a sad fact that a lot of us do this. But I say that it's a good indication because it can be a positive effect. The way that we tell our story to others, it can be positive because it can reinforce what we should be having in our internal dialogue. No one is going to be having an internal dialogue that is going to be the same as the dialogue that we tell others. So that's something to be careful about, you know. I know that I tell myself, oh man, like you're just not gonna make it, or like this is just your destiny and this sucks for you, but that's how it always is, and blah blah blah. But when I talk to somebody else, I'm constantly like, hey, this good thing happened, and hey, this great thing happened, and my family's doing well, and my friends are doing well, and I'm getting success, and blah blah blah. Well, guess what? If you start telling yourself that, if you start talking to yourself like that, maybe better things will happen. Maybe the stories that you start to tell other people will not even matter as much, because they'll see it. They'll be like, wow, I feel something good about this person. Like, I know that they're successful. I don't have to question it. I don't have to look on their Instagram. They carry themselves in a statue of security and confidence. That's the difference. Do you carry yourself with security and confidence, or are you just trying to project this status that isn't really a reality? All right, so that's the second story. I already covered the third story, your reputation. Your reputation, again, it's worth more than silver and gold. It'll get you places that no amount of hard work or great ideas will. No great idea and no amount of hard work can carry you as far as reputation. You want a big secret? Amazon used to spend thousands of dollars on Google AdWords when that stuff first came out, because Google had a reputation. Google's ads had a reputation. Amazon was a nobody. Then they spend all this money, boom, reputation went up, because now Amazon's building reputation. Their ads are everywhere, and now Amazon's this mega power that'll probably have to get disrupted by the government someday or something. Regardless, reputation counts, even to the smallest detail, even to the smallest DM, even to the smallest like, or you posted something, you posted that status that said, oh, I'm depressed today because I'm still single and I can't get somebody that's attractive. Well, now you're messing up on multiple stories. One, you're telling yourself that, so that's going to be reinforced. Good job there. Two, you're telling others that, so they're going to see it and tell it to other people. Hey, maybe don't go out with this person. They're kind of desperate. Or, hey, maybe don't talk to them because like they're like really depressed right now and they maybe want to be alone. No, you don't want to be alone. You're depressed. You want to be with somebody. You want to connect with somebody, but guess what? You're bringing the whole vibe down. So weekend comes around. It's Saturday night. What are you going to do? You text like 6 people and all of them are like, hey, I'm busy. Or most of them, they don't reply. I'm just telling the harsh reality. I've been there. Trust me, I wouldn't be speaking on these things if I didn't live them all out personally. And then finally, and this is the most important story, guys, it's the story that God tells about us. It's the story of Christ Jesus and what he did on the cross. That's the ultimate story, because God is going to see you better than you see yourself. He's going to see you better than your closest, most trusted friends and allies see you. He's going to definitely see you better than the people who are on the other side of the fence see you. He's always going to be ultimately seeing you in a way that is good and prosperous and fruitful and beneficial for you. All right, so keep that in mind. It's that identity factor. All right, going back now, I'm just going to kind of go on other subjects similar to the 4 stories. Just to recap, the 4 stories we tell ourselves, or the 4 stories. The story we tell ourselves, the stories we tell others, the stories others tell about us, and the story God tells us that we are. That's the story that we need to listen to. Guys, identity is a crucial thing. I struggled with identity for so many years because I have the psychological need for significance. And that's not a bad thing. It's a need that everyone has, a need to feel significant. Everyone has the need to feel significant. Mine's just a little bit higher on my list of needs. That one's one of the top needs. So identity, I've had this conversations with so many different people. I believe personally that identity needs to be founded on something concrete and bigger than ourselves. We shouldn't have our identities on something that is not bigger than ourselves, especially on things that can be changing. Your identity on how much money you make. Well, one day you're making $100,000, the next you're homeless. That's a reality. My dad experienced that. When I was 14, 15, we were going on yachts, 40-foot yachts. I was wearing Jordan shoes every day, a new pair. And then 5 years later, after the crash of 2008, guess what? He's living on the streets and I'm paying his rent, using my student loans to pay his rent. You think that's something I wanted to go through? You think that that was easy? But if his identity was founded in that, he wouldn't be where he is now. Branch manager making $250,000 a year for U.S. Mortgage. Shout out to U.S. Mortgage. Shout out to Hernan Mortgage Team. So keep that in mind. It's the stories we tell ourselves, and things that are temporary should never dictate the stories we tell ourselves. We can't be telling ourselves that our wealth is who we are. Another one that's major, and this is what I have a conversation with constantly with people, our sexual identity. Now, I have this conversation with people all the time as it pertains to people who identify as homosexual. I recommend that, hey, I know you identify as homosexual, but maybe that's not a great identity to have, because that could be something fluid. Sexuality is fluid. One day you identified as straight, now you identify as homosexual. That created already a myriad of problems. What happens if 15 years from now you want to identify as straight again? You're going to have to go through another myriad of problems. You're going to have to cut off your homosexual friends, at least when they want to go to the gay clubs. You're going to be like, I'm not really comfortable anymore. And things like that. So again, you want to identify on something that's bigger than you, something that's unchanging if possible. Always something that is bigger than you. That way you're able to become a better person. People who are addicts, they identify as being sober, or they identify as being addicts. And the first thing that they do when they identify that they're an addict is say, this is bigger than me. I do not have the power to control and change this. I give it up to my higher power. That's the first thing. They identified as, this is bigger than me. That's the first step in recovery. I just want to point that out because it's important. It's important because if you're going to make a change, it's best to anchor with something that's bigger than you. Going back to making a change. Now, I mentioned earlier the negativity about telling somebody something negative, or the bad parts about telling somebody something negative. They're going to be sort of distancing themselves from you. There can be a positive way to tell somebody something negative, in the sense of, hey, I'm very overweight. My goal is to lose some weight. I want to become fitter. Right now I'm overweight, but I'm going to become fitter. Now you have motivation because, one, your reputation's on the line. You told somebody something that your goals are. They can hold you accountable if they're the right person, which, by the way, you have 1,000 followers on Instagram. 3 of them are the right people. And maybe one of them is mom, dad, brother, or sister, okay? So you'll be lucky to have 1 or 2 good friends that you can count on, that you're telling these things to, and they're actually supportive of it, and they're actually going to help you on it. And it's a lot easier to find these people if they're already on the other side of the goals that you want to have. That's why you constantly hear people, there's certain things that just are common knowledge, and so I don't go deep into them because you should have already started with that, but I repeat them just to reinforce my points. And it's the find people who are already doing what you want to be doing kind of mentality. If you have 4 wealthy friends and you're the 5th, you're going to be wealthy. If you have 4 idiot friends and you're the 5th, you're going to get dumber. It's just what it is. I'm sorry. You should have better friends, I guess. It's hard to find these people. It is sometimes. But the whole point is, when you're telling people your goals, don't tell other poor people, hey, I want to become wealthy, because they don't know how to get there. Their whole thing is, well, me too. And they're going to be like, ha, not you, because me first. It's a competition mindset. Don't be living in that mindset. Live in an abundance mindset. Just because they have a slice of the pie doesn't mean that there's less pie to go around. There's no such thing as the pie. There's unlimited amount of pie. Robert Kiyosaki always says, they're printing money. Start thinking about it differently. They're literally printing this out. They're literally making more money all the time. Especially now with the recent stock market booms, they have to catch up. Guess what, guys? Inflation and crash most likely coming. I'm hearing it in the pipeline, so just be aware. Regardless, going back, identity, the story we tell ourselves, and holding ourselves accountable. In Christian circles, accountability is a major thing. It's a major thing, but it has to be with the right people. Usually you can trust most other people at your church and local small group, but there is a fine line and you have to be careful. Not everybody is going to be for you, especially depending on your reputation. If you have a good reputation, more people will be for you, obviously. But if you have a questionable reputation, then it's going to be even harder to find those people. And going back, sometimes, and this is a reality, sometimes you have even the closest friends, if they're not already on the other side of those goals, they're not going to be allies. They're going to be obstacles. It's allies versus obstacles here. And those people are going to say, that's great. I either don't care or I don't want you to have it because I don't have it yet. It's what I just mentioned earlier. So find people who already have your goals set up and tell those people, because they can pull you along. It's hard to push somebody along because you have to get behind them. It's easy to pull somebody because you're ahead of them. Does that make sense? So yeah, find people who you can trust, who you can count on, and rely on. The 4 stories we tell ourselves. The story we tell ourselves, the story we tell others about us. That's our social media. That's who we want to be in a lot of ways. That should impact and reflect on those because it can help you grow who you are telling yourself you are. The story others tell about us, that needs to be very carefully cultivated. It's not something that can be easily done. You know, for one negative treatment of somebody, it on average takes 5 positive treatments to reproduce and replicate the relationship back to where it originally was. So 5 positives outweigh 1 negative in the scenario when you're talking about influencing other people. And then finally, and most importantly, the story God tells us. Guys, God loves you. He sees you. He's always walking with you through the hardest struggles, through the rejections, through the loss, through the grief and the pain. But he's also there on the mountaintops through the joy and the journey and the best parts. And don't forget about him then. That's the most important part, to give him the glory. All right. So anyways, I'm here for you. Drop a comment, drop a like if you have any questions, suggestions. I'm still kind of getting a hang of this podcasting thing. I enjoyed today's video a lot more. I felt really good about it, so I hope you enjoy it as well. Drop a like, share with your friends, subscribe. Again, check out the company, Consultation X. We have a list of coaches that you can go ahead and meet with. A lot of them will meet with you for free for a free introductory session. They're going to meet with you. They're going to help you set up some goals on any aspect of life, money, coaching. You want to learn about Bitcoin? They got you covered. We'll teach you all you need to know about Bitcoin. We have coaches for that. You want to learn about investing in stocks and Forex? We have coaches for that as well. You want to learn about relationships, interpersonal relationships, how to rekindle the romance in your relationship, or how to start a new one, how to get out of your comfort zone and be more confident. We have coaches for that, all types of areas of life. All right, from finding a job to finding a babysitter. Reach us out, Consultation X. The app is found at app.consultationx.com. Again, drop a like, comment, follow, subscribe. Thanks so much. George, anything last things you want to say? He's thinking about it. He's going to let us know later. He lets me know in writing, and then I tell you guys. That's how that goes. All right. God bless you guys. Thanks so much for listening. Have a wonderful day. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.